News Day continues here on One News Now. I'm Sean Yao. A portion of the Cavite-Laguna Expressway will be open to motorists starting next month. Gerard De La Peña joins us over the phone to tell us more about this project. Hi, Gerard. Which part of the CALA-X will be accessible to the public soon?
Sean, motorists will be able to pass through the Silang East exit of the Cavite-Laguna Expressway or CALAX by next month. This is an additional 7.2 kilometers of road along CALAX from the existing 10 kilometers from Mamplasan in South Luzon Expressway up to Santa Rosa, Laguna. The scheduled opening of the additional segment of CALAX also signals the completion of the Laguna portion of the project and the start of operations of the Cavite part of the expressway. The Public Works Department said they are just doing some finishing touches on the Silang East portion of CALAX. Once this opens, travel time to Silang could be shortened by as much as 30 to 45 minutes. Instead of taking the longer route in narrow streets, they can opt to traverse CALAX. Another subsection, which spans 2.8 kilometers from the Silang East interchange to Aguinaldo Highway, is expected to be completed by the end of 2021. CALAX is meant to connect SLEX from Mamplasan to Kawit, Cavite, and also connects SLEX to Cavitex. Right-of-way acquisition is currently at nearly 70%, while the completion of the CALAX project is still targeted before the end of the current administration. Sean.
All right, thank you so much for that update. Stay safe out there. Gerard De La Peña joining us over the line. And the Health Department reported 4,700 new COVID-19 cases on Tuesday. This is the lowest single-day count since mid-March. And this has brought the country's total caseload to 1,113,000, some 56,000 of which are still active. Meanwhile, 59 more died of the virus overnight, pushing the death toll to 18,600. While total recoveries are now at 1,038,000, with more than 7,800 new survivors recorded over the past 24 hours. Here are other stories we're keeping our eyes on. CALA spokesman Harry Roque tells Filipinos in India to coordinate with the Philippine Embassy if they want to come back to the country. Roque says they will be subject to very strict quarantine measures as the travel ban on India is still in effect. And the Philippine Star reports that Caloocan Police Substation 9 Commander Major Harold Aaron Melgar has been relieved from his post. This comes after the Gubat sa Syudad Resort in Caloocan City was shut down due to its continued operation under modified ECQ status. And latest data from Octa shows that new COVID-19 cases in the NCR decreased to around 1,900 from more than 5,500 just a month ago. From 1.54, the virus reproduction rate is now down to 0.65 or 0.65, which is within the ideal range of below 1. However, the number of ICU beds occupied has climbed to 843 compared to 588 during the peak of the surge. Booksellers are devising new and creative ways to reach their markets amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Let's take a look at how the industry is coping in this report from Bloomberg.
There's been a combination of more people living in this area and a lot more people reading books.
Last month, the world mourned the closure of some of Paris's most famous bookstores. A 150-year-old chain, Gibert Jaune, was forced to close 4 of its locations permanently at the end of March. It's been an odd time for books. More people have had time to read than ever, and yet the stores themselves are far from ideal in terms of COVID safety.
Smaller bookshops have either had to remain just pick up curbside only because they have such limited space, or they're in areas where they're having to do a little bit more policing of the rule.
But many found ways to adapt.
I'm standing outside the Owl Bookshop in North London. They found an imaginative way of surviving the long lockdown that's only just starting to end here in the UK.
We're also seeing a pattern of smaller shops moving to more residential areas, encouraged perhaps by the pandemic driving people out of city centres, and certainly by high rents and low sales. UK publishers are trying to help.
Publishers have given all kinds of support, from extending credit terms to taking returns for credit of unsold books to providing rich digital media assets.
But bookstores need more than a helping hand. They need a plan. In Paris, there have been whispers of Gilbert Jeune opening smaller, less central stores. And in London, a chain called Daunt Books is in talks to open a new store in Muswell Hill, a highly residential area. If small-town Magpie Bookshop is anything to go by, these moves are a good idea.
I started my bookshop 7 years ago in a very small town called Catskill. I'm right at the banks of the Hudson River, about 2 hours north of New York City, and we're right at the foot of the Catskill Mountains. The pandemic's been really interesting. I'm a traditional used bookstore. I don't have a digital inventory and I don't sell online, so I was shut down for about 3 months. But then once I reopened, me and some of the other used bookstores in the region, we all had a huge rush of business. A lot of people have moved into this region from New York City. And also, I think just the fact that people are staying home a lot more people are reading books. I think a lot of people, this has gone on long enough that it's really changed how they're living. I think if you have a change for a month or two, maybe you go back into your old patterns. But when it's been a year or two.
However, one thing the pandemic has done is spur the sales of ebooks and audiobooks.
Digital sales have been absolutely outstanding.
In terms of the used book market, what's really changed is that there are certain genres that people do tend to only buy in ebook form, so I don't carry as many of those anymore. A really good example is romance novels. I think people are a little bit ashamed that they read them, and if you're reading them on your phone, nobody can see what you're reading. And then the same thing with large print books. If you need larger print and you have an e-reader, you can bump the size type up and down at will whenever you want. So there's essentially, as far as I've seen in the used market, there's really no market for large print books anymore.
But as bookstores adapt to the pandemic and the modern world,
People have rediscovered the joys of reading that they knew so well from when they were younger.
For more updates, visit News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. I'm Sean Yao. We are One News.